knowledge. I've worked with people, unfortunately, that would had a treasure trove of knowledge, but they wouldn't share it with you to save their mother. And that is just not cool. It's not a way to run a team. That's not a way to be to other people at cons. If you have a problem or if you're new and you're trying to get in the business, find out whatever it is. Like I'm learning, the first tool I'm learning is Nmap, and I can't figure out how to, what's the -PN switch for it or whatever. Like Theodore is the guy who wrote Nmap. I was emailing this guy with basic questions, and he, for some reason, would answer me, and I would always go straight to the source, and I would always, follow up and just send an email out to him once a month going, hey man, what's going on? I understand you got these new Nmap scripts that are coming out. I found a bug in one of your scripts. I don't know how to fix it, but hey, here's a screenshot of my output. I hope this helps. And then sure enough, there would be a bug fix and be thanks to Baird for reporting this. So try to give back to the industry, even though if you might be new or you might not know Python, but you know that DNS Recon is written in Python. You're like, oh my God, every time I run it against this particular domain, I get the following stack trace. Send that out to Carlos, or better yet, see if there is a GitHub repository for that tool and submit an issue. And if you have a fix, that's even better, submit a pull request. That way, that's helping you interact with the author of the tool. That's helping getting your name out there, and someone's going to eventually go, hey, didn't you fix that bug with DNS Recon that did X, Y, Z? You're like, yeah, that was me. It's like, man, thank you. That helped me out a whole lot. I was having the same problem, but I was too scared, and I didn't want to, do whatever. Any questions about that? Networking? Anything? Purely. Awesome. So this is a beginning to intermediate level course for Bash and kind of Linux and hacking in general. How many people here have been using Linux for 10 or more years? Awesome. How many people are brand new in Linux? Okay, so we can move kind of fast. Okay. All right. I've got a project out on GitHub. It's called Discover. And basically what Discover is, I automated a bunch of processes that pen testers do normally on a day-to-day basis. And it helps to automate, make things more proficient and repeatable. One thing about being a pen tester is you want to have a repeatable process that you go through. And I find out when you do that there might be 20 things that I need to do on every pen test before noon on the very first day. In order to get that knocked out super quick, I want to script all that up. And so what I've used is I found that Bash is a very easy language to be able to help to automate and string different tools together. And that's all Discover is. It's just a big wrapper script in Bash that runs a whole bunch of tools in concurrent. When you go into a new client on Monday morning, it's like you're the bad guy. You're showing up. They're like, oh God, here's the pen tester. It's like he wants to, or he or she, the people, the clients, they might think he or she's trying to get me fired or to prove that he's smarter. No, that's not at all. What we're here to do is just to look at your infrastructure in a different light than you might be doing. Because if your head's down all day long and we come in from the side door and it's open, you're like, oh crap, I never thought of it like that because this is my viewing angle. So again, the first day on the pen test, you want to be there and you're doing the dog and pony show, which is you're going around, you're talking to the client, you're making feel good, that you're there and they're spending the right money to have you there. In the meantime, I'm going to be getting shit knocked out. So as soon as I get there, hopefully before there, I've already got a list of IPs and CIDRs that I need to range, and I can either pass it off to my partner who's with me, or if I'm on a solo gig, put that up on my laptop, run it, and then go around, spend the next hour or two shaking hands, meeting everybody, and then meanwhile, when I get back, I've got 80% of my stuff done. I like to get most of my hardcore scanning done before lunch on the first day. And if you're able to automate processes, and if you have a tool that can help you with this, it makes you look way more proficient, way more organized, and it makes you look in a way better light to the client. questions on that? Okay, so you should have your computers out. You should be following along with me. I'm just going to give you little examples. And everyone should have network connectivity, I'm assuming. Or can everyone? All right, awesome. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is just setting up aliases to make things faster for you. Your alias file is in a file in your root directory called .bash aliases. And here's mine. You can see I've got several different things that are set up. I've got variables here at the top. I've got shortcuts going into the different AWS instances and little one-liners here that help me out on my day-to-day tasks. So some of the things that you do all the time are you're constantly clearing the screen. You're constantly listing things out. So for example, so right here, C is alias for clear. CL, clear, and list in long format. D takes me to the desktop. E exits out of what I'm doing. L is a long form list. And let me just show you some of those.
You make your font bigger.
Sorry?
You make your font bigger.
Absolutely. Is that better? Okay. So, I can't tell you how many hundreds of times a day I use those right there and how many keystrokes that those help me during the day. Now this is a big one right here. Every time I would start Metasploit, first I would go ahead and start the Postgres server. I would initialize the database, and then I would run NSF console. So instead of running those three separate commands or remembering what they are, just come down here, hit N, and go back to talking to my friend or the client. Normally, it's running all these things in the background. Again, the whole time is to be able to do 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. And bam, Metasploit's up and running. Check host, bam, I'm connected to the database. Okay. Any questions on that? Saves a whole lot of keystrokes. So, get out of Metasploit here. Clear. If I want to go to the desktop, D, L, list, back from Nmap. How could you tell what a Linux box is just by the ports that are open? What ports would you look for? Anyone? Bueller. For people running SSH or running on what port? Okay, and? Huh? Certainly hope not. Okay, so SSH running on TC port 22. If you get a box running like that, more than likely, and no other ports open, more than likely it's a Linux box. How would you identify a Windows box that's running? There you go, TCP 145 or 445 or 149. So if I go out to engagement and go, hey, quickly, I need you to identify all of the Windows boxes on the network. So I would use Nmap. I'm skipping around here a little bit, sorry.
Is it possible to turn off maybe like the front row lights or something? The contrast makes it so hard to read. That makes us hackers.
Mm.
I can just do the whole room light. We'll try. Better, so I'll do this side.
Better? Font size? Okay. If the font size is too small, please let me know. So if we go in, there's 3 people on the team, and I'm managing the team, and I'm working more with the interfacing with the client. I'm going to be the guy that comes in and gets the target list from the client. I'm going to immediately set up or break out the work in between different people. By the way, the application I'm using right here is Terminator. If you're on Kali Linux, I highly recommend it. So you can split your screen horizontally or vertically like that to see different things. So come up here. Okay, who can tell me what this line right here means? Anybody? First of all, does everybody know what Nmap is? Does anyone not know what Nmap is? Okay, so Nmap stands for Network Mapper. It was written by a guy named Fyodor, and what it does is it goes out and it sends various packets out on the wire, and it checks for, it tries to identify ports that are open, filtered, or closed. It tries to tell you what services are running on that port, and it can try to tell you what versions of the service that's running. It tries to fingerprint the operating system, and very important, it has this thing called NSE, which is Nmap Scripting Engine, and there are over 500 Nmap scripts, and what these are for is they help to further enumerate services that are open. So on this particular line right here, what I'm saying is the first switch, capital P minus N, that's saying don't ping the host. So your first line of defense as a defender is to set your network card in a position so that it doesn't respond to pings. So everyone thinks you're not on the network. If you're on a Mac, it's called stealth mode, enable stealth mode. So don't ping the host. I want to go ahead and assume that that host is online. Minus N means don't resolve DNS. If you're doing a very large scan, turning this off greatly, greatly increases the speed of your scan. The next thing, minus T4, the timing of Nmap is a variable between 0 and 5, 0 being the most slowest, which I believe is paranoid, and 5 is the fastest, which is insane. Slow, or 0 would be for a low and slow type of engagement. You're doing a red team type of engagement where you've got a beachhead and you want to try to do some lateral movement, but you want to scan and go completely under the radar. So you're only sending a packet out once every several seconds. So you're trying to keep a very low profile. If you don't set the timing, it automatically sets it to T3, which is average. I do T4, speeds it up, which is aggressive. T5, which is insane, seems to go so fast that it actually misses some items. So I would absolutely suggest not using T5. The next switch for me is very important. I don't want to see all kinds of crap back from the Nmap. I just want to show me only the open ports that are back. I don't want to see any ports that are filtered. I'm looking for low-hanging fruit. I'm trying to break into a box and lateral move as fast as I can. So show me the only open ports. Right here, this is telling me to scan only port 445. If I'm going after a Windows host, I might say 139 and 445. And anyone know what port 3389 is? Remote desktop, exactly. Which is used for remote administration in Windows networks. So most Windows boxes on an internal network will have these ports exposed. If they have these ports exposed on an external network, they're going to be owned. Minus IL, targets, that's your input list, IL. And targets is going to be a file. And the file can be made up of different things. It can have IP addresses. It can have a range, let's say 10.0.0.10/20. So that would be a range. It can take a CIDR, or it can just take an IP address. And you can mix and match these in the list, which is very cool. And then there's different ways you can do output, minus OA And then results. OA stands for output all, and that's going to give you the format in text, script kiddie, and XML. And I believe there's an Nmap format. I'm sorry, greppable format. And different tools, I always use output A because I find that different tools take XML input instead of just text. And a friend of mine, I might go back to the hotel and go, hey man, I'm on this gig and I found a box running Telnet, but it also has something else open and I can't figure out what's going on. I need to enumerate it better. And they might go, hey man, check Kali. There's a new tool that came out. It takes output from Nmap in XML format. Boom, off to the races. So now, if I want to change like that, again, that was for the Windows box. Sorry. Same thing here. What's the only thing that's changed? Right, and it's port 22. So I'm looking for Linux boxes. Okay. So I might do 111. Okay. Get rid of these. Let's see. Let's say what if I want to go after all the databases in the network? Somebody name me a type of database. SQL, what port does SQL run on? Excuse me. Okay, what else? How about Postgres?
Mongo's 27017.
What's that?
MongoDB.
Okay, is what?
27017.
There you go. I didn't know. 543. 5432. Whoops, what the heck? Mongo, again, what was what?
27017.
Okay, and Oracle, I always forget this. Anyone? Bueller? 15. What? Somebody Google that for me. Excuse me. Okay.
They couldn't afford the license fee.
Exactly. Okay, so that's how I might mod that script to look for just the databases, and hopefully you'll have a database guru on your team. What else might we want to use Nmap to do? To scan for on the network. Come on, this is easy stuff. What's that? Yep. Before we go into that, let's say we want to go after all the internal web admin interfaces. What normally does your web admin interfaces run on? Okay, 8443. That's alternative HTTPS port. What's the main port?
Just 443.
Okay, 443. And what's the HTTP? Okay. What's an alternate port for HTTP? 8080. What else? Okay. So. Any questions on that? Okay, so how can we automate this? So we have 4 different types of options that we could possibly run, or we could run, say, all of them, okay? So we want to build an interface that asks the user a question, says, hey, what's your input list? It's going to check to see if you put in a list for an error. It's going to check to see if you gave it the correct location of the list. And then it's going to say, that's going to be your first set of checks. Then the next thing is what do you want to scan for? Do you want to scan for Windows, Linux, databases, or web? What if the person, so that's choices 1 through 4. What if the person puts in an A? What if the person puts in a 5? What if the person puts in a 0? You need to be able to check for all that. Okay, now you're running your own script. Yeah, I know you're not going to make a mistake, but you're building the script and you want to share this out with your buddy or your girlfriend or whatever and let them use it. Again, Discover, which is a huge project, started back in 2007 when I was doing the OSCP, and I noticed that I kept having to do the same type of thing every time there was a new VM in the network that I tried to go after. I'm like, well, I ain't got time for this because I had to work at Vanderbilt and I only had a few hours a night to study, so I just kept trying to automate. And as you go on client site, there's different things that you learn that you need to automate. So putting together a quick example for you. Now, let's say if someone mentioned version detection back there. By the way, Nmap, one thing that blew my mind on Nmap when I was starting to learn it was the order in which the flags went. It doesn't matter. Every book that I saw or every article I saw on Nmap, the flags were in different orders. It doesn't matter the order that the flags go in. So if you want to add version checking to this, it's S capital V. Now, this greatly reduces your scan time. Excuse me. So just be aware of that. If I want to do, let's say I want to do the version detection on that, on the Linux, I want to get the, actually on the Linux, I want to do the version detection, but on the Windows up here, I want to guess for the operating system. So that's a capital O. Now, let's see, maybe down here on the databases that I want both. I can do a -A, and that does version detection, OS detection. It also does traceroute, and it also does basic Nmap scripts against this. So there's 3 additional flags for you, -O, -SV, and -A. Okay. Well. Okay. If you want to run just the basic scripts, let me do this right here. Just the basic scripts is -SC. If you want to do all that, that's -A. So that gives you something in order. 5021, that's right. I always forget that. Okay, so I'll probably do this because I'm anal retentive. All right, so I'm trying to teach you hacking along with just bash scripting, because if you don't, you need to be able to have a purpose when you're putting together your bash script or any type of scripting. If you have a purpose and a tool that you want to do, and you know how the tool that you're trying to put a wrapper around, mix it out. So we're kind of doing our requirements here. Okay, something up here that I did not talk about. So again, if I'm running these scripts down here at the bottom and notice that I didn't put any type of flag in to give user feedback, and I said, I want to be able to do that, say, every 15 seconds. Sometimes when you're on a new network, you're like, okay, did my VM crash? Did my computer crash? Is my link to their network good? Do they have a problem with the firewall? Or I was even out doing an assessment one time, and there was actually another intruder from Australia was in the network at the same time I was performing a pen test. And the sysadmins kept coming to me and like, man, we told you not to scan these boxes. They're out of, I'm like, hey man, here's all my stuff, here's my target list. As you can see from, all my notes and everything, I'm not doing that. Side note here real quick, whenever you're doing consulting and scanning and stuff, it's extremely important that, especially when you're on multi-day engagements, sometimes your IP will change daily, sometimes before lunch and after lunch, but make sure that you always check what your IP is and your MAC address so you can note that stuff down. One time I was out on an engagement, and they were trying to prove that the sysadmin that ran all the firewalls was doing nefarious stuff on the network. That guy just happened to be on vacation during the assessment. Well, while he was on vacation, he was remotely logged in and was jacking with us while we were performing the engagement. He was switching firewall rules on the fly, changing the ACLs. It was just a nightmare. And we kept getting new IP addresses every hour, but we constantly noted, what our IP addresses were, and we're able to get around that. So quickly, if I'm just doing a health check, N for me is network. What does this output right here look like to you all? What command? Yeah, netstat. And what's netstat showing me? Okay, it's showing me, so you can tell what's running on my Kali box here. Postgres, SSH, port mapper. So then I can see, here's my external IP address, here's my internal IP address, don't hack me, MAC address, so on. Okay, so it gets all that information for you. Then I ping Google 3 times, and that's it. So I can just quickly go to my computer, again, see to clear the screen, like, am I stuck? What's going on? Hit N for network. Do a quick health check. Yep, I'm up and running. How do I do that? That's all in my my alias file. Let's see. So here I'm setting up various variables for DNS. Here's my external IP. I'm just doing a curl from IP from this website right here, doing a little slicing and dicing to grab that. Same with IP, same with MAC, same with the user. And then down here, I'm just stringing all those together. So there's my netstat command. Here's the variable that I already set aside for the external IP, internal IP, MAC address, DNS, ping Google 3 times. Everyone understand, see how I set that up? Again, I use this stuff non-stop. Have another alias right here for to update my whole system, and it's basically, it's calling, you can use an alias to call another script, which I'll do here in a second. I'll show you that. All right, so let's take a little 10-minute break here, and let's see, go ahead and set you up a .bash _ alias file in your root directory, and let's add in some shortcuts for yourself. If you're doing Kali, see if you can figure out how to start the Postgres database, initialize the database correctly, and then start the Metasploit framework. You all should be pounding on your keyboards right now. Okay, so once you have that file set up, it needs to be able to run. So the first time, if you're working on it in the same window, you want to do a source. like that. And what that does is it loads that into the terminal. If you shut the terminal down and open it back up, it loads that file automatically because of the .bashrc script. So refresh your script. Just pull that back up here in case you all forgot the cmd.bash aliases. So there's your example. Do an alias, a character equals, single ticks, and whatever Linux command that you want it to do. This one right here, the D is tricky because you're wanting to go to your desktop. Well, the first thing you're going to do is need to set up who the user is. And we did that up here by the user equals $, parentheses, who am I? I want you to create your own alias file for shortcuts that you do all the time. And one of the examples I wanted to do was the Metasploit example if you're running Kali Linux. Figure out how to grab your own IP address and your external IP address. You know, if there's a certain folder that you're going to all the time, like you're always going to var logs, whatever, mail, put, M1 or whatever, or MM, or something that that helps you get to that folder very quickly. So do your navigation stuff first, and then work on, how do you get your desktop folder very quickly. Set up this variable, and then call it down here.
What was the name of the editor that does the colorizing?
I'm sorry, one more time.
What was the name of the editor you said that you like that does the colorizing?
Terminator. Yeah, and the Terminator allows you to split the screens horizontally and vertical. And you just do apt-get install Terminator. While you are doing this, is there any questions you have maybe on pen testing in general, consulting, bash scripting, networking?
So, but if you have that in your bash aliases, then every time you start a shell,
That loads automatically.
API.
I'm sorry?
You like call out to ipapi.com?
No, that
That one once.
that only runs once when I run the N for networking. Every time you open up a new terminal via the bash RC file that's hidden, it says, hey, if there's this file located in your home folder, load this into memory. And if you manually work on this file and you're like, oh my God, my aliases aren't working, you do source.bash_aliases, and it loads it into memory.
But it doesn't do that until you call the external API or external IP variable.
Right. So if I did N right now it's making a call. And right here's that URL, ip-api.com. Anyone know what the S flag is for curl? Silent. Second one. You're grabbing what your delimiter is. Field 1 is going to be the first thing to the left of that. Field 2 is going to be the next thing to the right of that. Does everyone see that? How are we going to clean this up? We can clean this up with one more thing. Okay, with a delimiter of what? Right parentheses. What field? Exactly. Done. That's way faster than what we did the first time. So you can use anything as a delimiter. First time we just used the space. This time we used parentheses. Any questions on piping the output to a file? Any question on piping commands? Any questions on grep? Or any questions on cutting with a delimiter in fields? What if I wanted, let me go back here. Any questions on that? Bueller? Again, we're just...
I think he started out by asking what the print $2.
We're coming to that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I want to get to this before we get to the more complex ones. Okay? This is as basic as we're going to get because we're going to build upon this. So if there's any questions or you want to do another example. Yep. All right, so let's go back, clear the screen. Let's see what do we got, cat and temp. Okay. Let's do, how about let's grab the time that it took in milliseconds. Okay? So we want to get the three numbers, 43.2 and so on. Okay? See if you all can come up with those three numbers on yourself. If I said I want to cut with the delimiter of a space, what field would I want? Eight. Count it again. 1 would be 64, 2 would be bytes, 3 would be from. Does that make sense? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Did I say 7? I did. I'm sorry. You're right. All right. Does everyone see how we get 7 with that? If you don't, we really need to hammer this down now because it's just going to get more complex. Okay, if we said cut with a delimiter of MS, what field would I want? It would be 1. Remember where your delimiter is, figure out where that is, and then to the left of that. If I said, so let's just do these real quick. See, cut with a delimiter of a space. We want field. I believe you said 7. Cool. Oh, sorry. 8. I was right. Now, if I want just the numbers and I don't want the loss, how can I get that? What's unique on the line with the numbers that doesn't have it on the loss? Somebody said equals. So grep for equals sign. Absolutely. Now, let me show you the inverse of grep is grep minus v, which means take that away. So if I want to do grep minus v, I don't want anything with loss. Okay? And I don't want anything with a space. That didn't work. All right. We're just going to stay with that. Now, to get rid of those spaces, I could say grep for, and we're back to where we were. Now, from here, I just want the numbers. What's our next command? Should be our last command. Cut with the delimiter of equal sign and give me field. Excellent. Boom. Easy enough? All right, what I want you to do is I want you to grab your IP address from ifconfig. That's your exercise. I want you to be able to grab that. So the first thing you got to do is pipe that out to a field, or pipe that out to a file. All right, what's the first thing we're grabbing for?
Broadcast.
Thank you. Awesome. Give me the IP address. I want the IP address now. How do you get that?
Space to cut with a space delimited field 2.
Why did that happen? It's a trick. What do you see there? There's actually a bunch of spaces in front of INET. So this is kind of a tricky one.
Could you call out the 1?
What's that?
Could you call out the 1? Like use the 1 and then when I'm through.
Okay, well, let's just try that. So let's cut with the delimiter of that and show me field what?
I guess you don't. There's one space I used to know how many spaces are in there.
Yeah, that's not going to work. So let's go back to a space. Now, if we estimated the amount of spaces, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that. Let's say cut 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's pretty sloppy. So let's cut with a delimiter or something else. What else could we use a delimiter as? What about a word? What field?
2.
So we can't do that. We can only use a single space. I thought,
What about T?
yep. Okay, now what? What's your delimiter? Okay. Field what? There's nothing to the left of that first space. But to the right of it is your IP. Multiple ways to skin a cat. All right? We're going to do this another way here in a second. So the next command I'm going to introduce you to is called head. To do this, I want to get a bigger file. So I'm just going to do man SSH, pipe that out to temp2. So if I cat temp2, huge file. If I do, I can do pipe more, and that will show me the file a page at a time. Everybody see that? I hit Q to exit out of that. Now, the head is going to show me the first 10 lines of the file. If I want the first 8 lines of the file, I can do that. Okay? Now, the opposite of head is tail. So the default is 10 lines. That shows me the last 10 items. That would be really useful for viewing what, Linux admins? What? Very good. What's the last 10 entries in my firewall? Tail, the log file, instead of scrolling all the way through it. Okay? Show me the last entry. Show me the last 5 entries. Make sense? All right, now, using that example, let's go back here to this. Let's skin the cat the different way. How can we grab the IP address using the head command? IP address is on what line? Second. All right, so cat temp, head, minus N2. How did that not? Oh, it's showing us the first 2 lines. That's right. So let's, I'm just trying to trip you up here. Let's get rid of the first line. How do we remove the first line? Using what? What? Grep for what? What? Okay. I want to do the reverse of that. I want to get attack that from another angle. Let's delete the first line. That one, we searched for the second line with grep. Let's think about this differently. We want to get rid of the first line. Grep minus v ETH0. Gives you the same thing. I'm just showing you a different way. In this example, it doesn't make sense with 2 lines, but in a minute, it's going to make sense. So again, we're just attacking the problem from different angles, okay? Now, so we got grep is to search for a string. We got grep minus v is to get rid of a line. Let's say if we want to get rid of multiple lines. For that, we're going to use egrep minus v. So let's go back to temp. Let's get rid of this. Tired of looking at that. Okay. Let's see here. So let's do who is your favorite website. Let's just do whatever. Target.com. Temp. Okay. Grab whatever your favorite website is. Grab the who is on it and take a look at it. Now, who is freaking notorious for not following its own standards, so to speak. Every URL or every domain that you do a who is on, information is going to come back differently. Okay? So this gets where to the cleanup thing that I was talking about. So again, you can use target.com. That's fine. What we're interested in is this information up here, right there, and we're not really interested in any of that information, but we do want the rest of this. And we don't want this crap down here. So I'm going to make this, for this particular example, everyone just do who is on target.com, save that out to a file. I didn't talk about editors. The easiest editor is gedit because it's a GUI. Notice if you do gedit, your terminal's tied up. Okay, I don't ever want to tie up my terminal. If you exit out of this with Control-C, then your gedit program is gone. So in order to grab your terminal back, does anyone know what you add at the end of the line?
And sign.
What?
And sign.
Exactly. So now I've got my program or my text up and running, but I also got control of my command line back. Okay, so always do that. So that's one way, easy way to cut stuff up. Let's just pull your file up and let's grab the. Let's see, we got all the name servers here. Let's get all the text stuff. Let's just delete everything from there at the top, and we're just going to do it with the GUI for this example. Save that back out. Get out of this. All right. Okay. So all we want is this information right here. We don't want the rest of this information. We can attack this 2 different ways. We can say, what do we want to grep for? What do we want to pull out? Or what do we want to get rid of? Okay? first of all, let's just grab what we want. How will we go about this? What are in these lines that are in no other lines? What?
I saw tech was
Okay.
colon.
Colon. Very good. Okay, so we got it pared down, but we still got crap at the bottom we don't want, okay? This is where we're going to use the grep minus v, egrep minus v. So we'll do egrep minus v. All right, so in here I can put multiple string values. So for example, and I normally just use what's at the front, like, so let's just do URL. And I'll do a pipe between each one. I don't want notice. I don't want. See how I was able to pull that out with 3 words? So I'm looking for words that are in multiple ones. Come back here. Name. More. And last. Okay. In this particular example, that's how to use egrep minus v. All right, that's an hour and 15 minutes. Let's take a 10-minute break.